friends, Jewel back with you. I want to talk today about natal Mars in conjunct to Pluto. And what happens when we see this very interesting aspect in somebody's natal chart. So when we have this particular in conjunction, what's happening is somebody's learning to balance their need to assert and satisfy themselves with this unnamed guilt when it comes to using their power. So they don't understand that they are somehow ashamed of their desires and their desire to say no in particular. They can take on a lot more responsibility and work, outside responsibility, sometimes even physical work. And they sometimes somehow feel better when they're self-punishing through straining themselves or stressing themselves or giving too much. So they're constantly engaged in this death grip on their own freedom to get to satisfy their own desires. They feel that they need to earn that they can only earn that through struggle or strife. When they see that their own desires are perfectly worthy of being fulfilled, then they have really freed themselves from this particular aspect and started to use it in a really positive way, because it can be extremely positive once you get this balanced. People with this aspect need to understand that they don't need to earn anything. They don't need to be a slave to anything. Realizing this will bring so much relief from the enslavement that they have set themselves up for. In seeing that their own desires are worthy of being fulfilled without having to be justified or earned or worked for, they start to see how their true expression can fit into relationships. Their true desires can fit into the life that they've made for themselves and the conditions that they've set up for themselves. Their new sense of self-esteem that's very much tied to starting to get some of their own desires met, their selfish desires, not putting themselves in this position to where eventually from the outside they're going to feel like, okay, I'm given the green light here, I've given enough. So when people with this aspect stand up for themselves or try to fulfill what Mars is, which, that's the ego, our assertion, our aggression, our physical strength, when they stand up for that, that's when they tend to incite some type of anger or opposition or friction. And this is due to their blind spot when it comes, oops, sorry. I almost kicked you over there. This comes from their blind spot when it comes to their level of their assertion. They don't have a really good understanding of what that is. So they tend to slave for others and ask for nothing for themselves, and then at times stand up and forcefully yell, I can't take this anymore, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore, kind of deal. And the personal desires and objectives and the force required to attain them is out of proportion with this particular aspect. So that's what we're seeing exhibited in that type of behavior. So there's this oscillation between slaving away to fulfill these outside demands and to prove that they can shoulder it all, And this force of Mars that demands respect and personal fulfillment, when the demanding part comes up, when there's that Martian response, that's what upsets the conditions in place that satisfy the guilt of Pluto, but those conditions cause Mars to rise up. So do you see the trick at play here? They set up the demanding conditions and relationships and then react selfishly to escape or change those conditions. So this is how it's made conscious for them over time. But it is kind of a loop, you see. And the trick is to not set up taxing conditions or relationships in the first place. Aha. Correctly evaluating what you owe who and what you owe yourself. This is the key. You do not need to give any more than you want to and when you want to. When you do give more than you actually want to, when you give in to that guilt response, oh, I don't want to, but I feel like I had better, that creates this resentment and this anger in you that negates any good that was going to go into this anyway. And there is a certain addiction to resentment with this particular inconjunction. That's the truth of things. Owing others because you can't stand to own yourself is the deeper issue here. You have to be willing to give up your big, beautiful reason for being so stressed if you want to integrate this aspect. Examine your reasons for being so stressed. Look at them closely. Those reasons are keeping you from truly fulfilling your own self, from reveling in the satisfaction of achieving your own desires. Because you can. You can be the source of your own power. That doesn't actually come from outside of ourselves. There's this belief that it does. That's going to be granted to us if we just work hard enough for that, if we just give up enough of ourselves for that. We are all the source of our own power. And this idea that your power is granted from others so long as you earn it through working hard and slaving hard or giving up what you want is untrue. So that's a story that we tell ourselves. And we tell ourselves that story so that we can marinate in our own precious guilt. Another side to this particular aspect, a side effect of it, before we're really gotten on top of it and really figured this out and start having it work for us in a more positive way, because all difficult aspects do, that's what they're there for, is to be turned into something greater. Sexuality is often an issue with this because the amounts and how they do not satisfy our desires tends to be out of whack. The sexual expression is very much directly impacted with this particular inconjunction. In fact, poverty and or extreme fear of it and a dry, unsatisfying, or kind of awkward sex life are symptoms of a struggle with this aspect. when it's worked with well, when we understand this aspect and we've turned it, taken our lemons and turned them into lemonade, there actually turns out to be a lot of satisfying sex and an abundance and plenty of money. So great wealth, both in pleasure and in investments, is very, very possible with this in conjunction. Some people do extremely well financially with this in conjunction after they've mastered it. So you must give yourself permission to receive without feeling like you have to go into debt first. Pluto is other people's money. So we always feel like with this in conjunction that we are other people's money, or we have to earn other people's money. We have to earn other people's respect. And we have to understand we already have all of our own wealth. We already have all of our own money. There's nothing that needs to come to us in the form of that at all. So we don't have to give anything up. And we need to learn to allow wealth and pleasure to come to you so you're not repelling them with these unconscious beliefs about not deserving and having to prove that you do, and training people that you will be somebody that will earn everything, and people love to take advantage of that. So we can just skip that whole step and accept what is being offered. And what you earn, accept all of that without guilt. And you have to fix this aspect from front to back. If you try to fix it from the back by trying to head it off and, earning enough or sacrificing enough or proving enough, then you're never going to get there, because you're just going to have to keep proving, and you're going to have to keep earning. And you may as well just give up the search for your guilt to be taken away, through earning it to be taken away. Just give it up. Give it up. You won't have any resentments or slave masters to fall back on, or to offer any reasons for what you haven't yet done or earned. But you will have satisfaction in this life. You will be able to attain your goals and your desires if you allow yourself to. So, learning to serve ourselves first is really a deep lesson with this particular in conjunction. To serve ourselves and not another master. And as the saying goes, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold to the one and despise the other. And we don't want to be despising ourselves. You must be your own master. You must take the responsibility for what that means. And that's really where the guilt is more deeply coming from with this particular in conjunction. There's that more surface guilt that needs to be satisfied by, prostrating oneself. But there's this deeper guilt that comes from this doing just that. So, see, you can't win if you aren't choosing yourself first with this particular aspect. You have to become more appropriately self-serving in order to really make this work for you, and become about the business of making sure that you get served first. paid attention to first by yourself, not by other people. So, if you're in business for yourself, pay yourself first. Make sure your needs are taken care of first before taking care of children. Make sure that you get your sexual needs met first before your partner, or they may not get met. So we need to start to recognize that our own physical needs are extremely worthy of proper satisfaction, and our own desired needs, that those are, whatever that is for you, that those are properly paid attention to. So if you're doing this regularly, then you will not have this rubber band effect that snaps back because it causes an uproar in your life, because there's this imbalance there between this control part and this desire part here. So there's this steady flow of satisfaction that keeps you from going off the deep end when we're handling this well. So I hope this was helpful and brought some a little bit deeper insight into what this particular aspect can cause in a birth chart. So you can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com, Facebook and Instagram at Truth and Aspect Astrology. Yes, I do private consultation. I'm mainly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I interpret all types of charts. And please find me over on Patreon and support me over there so I can make more videos for you more often. And I'll be back super soon with more super cool videos.